On a cold Christmas Eve in 1945 in Fayetteville, West Virginia, a fire engulfed the Sodder family home. Smoke, flames, and the smell of burning wood filled the night. Yet in the chaos, 5 children were never found. Their beds were empty. The flames consumed the house, but no remains were ever recovered, nothing to prove they perished. How could 5 children vanish without a trace, leaving behind only scorched walls and unanswered questions? Neighbors reported strange cars in the area, and footprints led toward the dense woods behind the house, yet all trails went cold. Maps of the town show the isolated hills and winding roads that could hide anyone, while the fire itself left a baffling lack of evidence. Each clue whispers a haunting question. Did the children escape, or were they taken? And if so, by whom or what force did they disappear into the night, leaving only mystery in their wake? My name is Harris, and you're watching Harris Investigates. Tonight, we're diving into one of the most baffling and haunting missing person cases in Fayetteville, West Virginia. A family's Christmas turned into a nightmare, leaving 5 children vanished without a trace. What happened that night still defies explanation, and the evidence, or lack of it, raises more questions than answers. Stay with me until the end, because some of the details in the Sodder children mystery are not just strange, they are deeply unsettling, the kind of story that lingers long after the flames have died down. The Sodder children were a lively, close-knit group, ranging in age from 5 to 14, growing up in a modest, hard-working household in Fayetteville, West Virginia. Friends and neighbors remembered them as bright, playful, and full of curiosity. Their parents, George and Jennie Sodder, were hard-working immigrants who valued family, faith, and tradition, and the children mirrored that energy, always helping around the house and looking forward to the holiday season. In the weeks leading up to Christmas 1945, the children were excited, decorating, rehearsing songs, and counting down the days until Santa's arrival, a picture of normalcy, routine, and innocence. The house sat at the end of a winding lane, surrounded by dense hills and dark forests that cut off sightlines from the road. The house itself was modest but sturdy, with multiple entrances and windows that faced both the street and the wooded hillside. It was a place that should have felt safe, familiar, and protected. On the night of December 24th, 1945, while the parents prepared for the holiday and the children slept upstairs, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Yet, in the span of a few hours, this ordinary scene turned extraordinary, the familiar warmth of family life giving way to fire, smoke, and disappearance. The contrast between that calm, joyous evening and the chaos that followed underscores the unsettling truth. The ordinary can vanish in an instant, leaving only questions and shadows behind. On the evening of December 24th, 1945, the Sodder family settled in for Christmas Eve. Around 7 p.m., George and Jennie Sodder finished decorating the tree and preparing the evening meal, while the children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jennie, and Betty, retired upstairs to their rooms, excited for the holiday. The house was nestled at the end of a winding lane, surrounded by steep hills and dense forests, with windows facing both the street and the hillside, and several doors providing access to the outside. At approximately 11 p.m., George noticed flickering lights in the kitchen and rushed to investigate. Smoke was rising near the rear of the house. He alerted Jennie, and the couple began shouting for the children, attempting to evacuate the home. By 11:15 p.m., the fire had intensified, flames licking the roof, yet 5 beds upstairs were empty. Windows and doors were checked. The children were gone. Neighbors, including Mr. and Mrs. Edward Fisher, reported seeing lights from the house, but no movement in or out of the windows. No cameras recorded the home at that time. There were only dim streetlights and the glow of the fire itself. Attempts to track footprints in the surrounding snow revealed some impressions leading toward the nearby forest, yet they disappeared into the hills, providing no trail to follow. By 11:30 p.m., George and Jennie had called the local fire department, but the blaze quickly consumed the structure. Fire crews found charred remnants of the home, but no remains of the children, no ashes, no bodies, nothing to confirm their fate. The final confirmed sighting of the Sodder children remains the brief moment hours earlier when they were tucked in their beds, sleeping peacefully, unaware of the extraordinary events about to unfold. From that moment on, they vanished, leaving a family, a town, and the world with a mystery that continues to defy explanation. Immediately after the fire, a massive search and investigation began, though the circumstances were anything but typical. Local authorities scoured the surrounding hills and forest, aided by neighbors and volunteer search parties. Within days, the West Virginia State Police coordinated with the FBI, who interviewed witnesses and examined the scene. Despite early reports, cadaver dogs were eventually brought in to search the woods near the home. Investigators combed the area meticulously, yet they found no bodies, no ashes beyond the charred remnants of the house, and no evidence of the children leaving voluntarily. No financial activity, no hidden belongings, nothing to suggest they had planned to vanish. George and Jennie Sodder pushed the investigation further, posting flyers and following leads across the state, even receiving letters that hinted the children might be alive. Detective William Cox noted in a report, "Every search point, every witness statement leads to dead ends. There's no evidence that explains where the children went." Several theories have been considered. Accident, the children could have perished in the fire, yet no remains were recovered despite the intensity of the blaze. Foul play, perhaps the children were abducted, given suspicious reports of unusual cars in the area and a reported stranger in town beforehand. However, there was no solid motive, no footprints linking a kidnapper to the home, and no witnesses confirming an abduction. Voluntary disappearance, the idea that the children left on their own, though they were young, had no history of running away, and their clothing, shoes, and toys were left behind. Even decades later, investigators weigh the evidence and find it contradictory. The fire suggests danger and destruction, yet the absence of remains defies logic. Foul play is possible but unproven. Voluntary disappearance seems improbable. The strongest indication is that something or someone intervened that night, yet no one can say for certain what it was. Each theory has supporting facts, but each also meets dead ends. The mystery persists, a dark puzzle of smoke, shadows, and vanished children, leaving more questions than answers, and a haunting sense that normal life can be swallowed in an instant. The Sodder children's disappearance is one of the most haunting mysteries in American history. 5 young lives vanished on a Christmas Eve that began like any other, leaving behind only the remnants of a burnt home, unanswered questions, and a family desperate for answers. Despite exhaustive searches, witness reports, and decades of investigation, no bodies were ever found, no evidence of abduction confirmed, and no trace of what truly happened. Suspicious sightings, strange vehicles, and other disappearances in the region only deepen the sense of unease. To this day, the Sodder children remain missing, leaving more questions than answers. Were they lost to a tragic accident or taken in a way no one could anticipate? The mystery lingers like smoke in the winter air, impossible to dissipate and impossible to ignore.